Okay, good week of work. Got one more practice tomorrow, but I like where we're at, and it's going to be a great game. Thursday night game, under the lights, national TV, two really good teams going at it, and so we're excited for the challenge. And I think it's been reflected in the way we've worked this week. So we're ready to go, or we will be ready to go.
How is last year's game motivating this year's team?
I'm not sure that it is a whole lot. We were always kind of eyes forward, and this is an entirely different team than last year. A lot of guys are gone, a lot of new guys are in, so it's just another opportunity for us to go out and play well and perform against a really good team.
Change your stance on announcing starting quarterback?
No, I mean, it's we'll see when we get to game time who's ready to go. That's the guy that'll play for us.
Has Brett been able to do things in practice?
He's been limited. Yeah, he's done a few things. Yeah, I mean, he's worked a little bit.
Is he in pain, or is it a stability?
You'd have to ask him that. Yeah.
But we can't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't asked him.
Is it more of a stability, or?
I haven't asked him. I don't ask him. You could ask our doctors, but I don't think they'll talk to you either. So.
HIPAA-ized, I know.
Yeah.
When did those doctors make the final decision? Is that tomorrow?
Like I said all along, we've got a great medical staff here, and the number one priority for us is always the health and welfare of our players above anything else. And so we depend on them to tell us when a guy's ready to play. We depend on Coach Alosi to tell us when he feels like they're physically ready to play and their strength is back. And if they clear through our injury protocol, then we play them. And that's the same with every player. So sometimes it goes right up to kickoff before you make that decision. And in the NFL, you have to declare a guy inactive or active. At this level, you don't. And so we just take it as far as we can, and then we make the best decision for the player first and the team second.
When you have such a quality medical staff, will they usually just wait till the last minute and make sure he's all right? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to push it out as far as you can. I mean, you want to make sure that that you're making the right decision. Like I said, first and foremost for the player. That's at this level. At this level, different than the next level. This is not. These guys aren't getting paid. This is not a profession. This is still a game. And I think that the most important thing is always the health and welfare of your players. I just truly believe that at this level. I believe it at the next level too, but I think it's a little bit different at that level.
Is there any advantage of not telling them so
No,
they can prepare
it's not,
for?
because they're preparing for Brett. I mean, you know what? They're preparing for our scheme, first of all. I mean, Todd Graham is a tremendous defensive coach. He's been doing this a long, long time. It's not like anyone's trying to pull anything over on Todd Graham, because you're not going to pull anything over on Todd Graham. I mean, this guy, they're preparing for UCLA. They're preparing for schemes and plays and tendencies, and they're not, I'm sure they're assuming that Brett's going to play, and that's what I'd be doing, and I'm nowhere near the coach that Todd Graham is, so they'll be ready regardless.
How's Brett different than Jerry or your other quarterbacks? I mean, he's special.
Well, Brett is he's bigger and he's heavier. Both of them understand our scheme very, very well. I think we saw Jerry go out there against Texas and execute very well. Ashante is probably about the same size as Brett, not as experienced. Obviously, hasn't taken any snaps yet, but he's made amazing progress through spring, through fall, and up till now. And so whichever one of those three is on the field for us, I mean, we feel confident. We feel confident in the players around them, and we'll support who's ever out there.
And the scheme doesn't change much?
Scheme can't change. You don't have time at this level with the limited hours that you have to do different things. You just don't have the time if you want to be good at it. You've got to settle on things that you do well, and you've got to go with that. And so all our quarterbacks can do everything that we ask them to do. We wouldn't have to change anything.
How much does Randall's injury change up your plans at safety?
Well, it's he did it early in the Memphis game, so we haven't had him for quite a while. And so as you saw last week with AJ out, we even had to further adjust and use both Tahan and Jaleel. So that was really good for those guys to get experience. Hopefully AJ will be able to play, but once again, his deal is a game day thing. I wish I could know for certain whether or not he was going to play. If Jaleel and Tahan are back there, then feel confident. Worry about depth a little bit, but feel confident. But we don't change anything. You just can't. It's just too hard. And these guys have been working in our system since, some of them for 2 years, some of them since spring, some of them since fall. So they understand what we're trying to do, and they understand what to do.
Losing that depth, do you work a few other guys at the thing just in case? I mean,
Yeah, you know, we've worked. It's like musical chairs for a couple guys. You know, going back and forth. You know, Club. You know, Charles Dawson, Darius Pickett. We've had them on offense. We've had them on defense. This week they're on defense. Next week they might be on offense. You know, fortunately we recruit guys and sign guys that have some versatility. A lot of times you find out with skill position players, as they did both in high school. Those guys are still young players, so they can do that. It's just a matter of experience. Neither of them have experience, but you do what you do, you know. You do the best you can with what you've got. We have confidence in all of our players. They work hard, they're serious, and they've got a good supporting cast.
So when you have two young guys like Jaleel and Tahan, with a bye week, you don't do anything maybe a little bit special to get them more up to speed and prepared?
Well, I mean, the way we prepare regardless is pretty special. I mean, you know, we don't leave a lot of things uncovered or leave things to chance. But those guys spend a lot of extra time watching film. You know, having that bye week and having those 2 practices where we can kind of just drill down on our fundamentals, I think is really beneficial for guys like that, where you're not game planning for somebody. And you know, when you game plan for somebody, everyone's, you know, you got to tweak things. But I think just having those 2 practices really helped those guys. And I think, Tracy, the fact that they played in a game, and there's so much value to that. I mean, playing in a game is so much different than practice. It helps you accelerate your learning. And so it won't be new for them if either or both of them, well, one of them's going to have to start, obviously. So.
Were you a little surprised at how well Jaleel did in that? Well, whenever I say surprised, you always say you're not surprised, but I mean, he played pretty well in that game.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. I was excited about it, though. You know, from day one, you could tell he's a good football player. I mean, you guys saw more high school film of him than I did. You saw him live more than I did, obviously. And I mean, wasn't he like the Southern California Player of the Year or something like that? I mean, and this is pretty good football down here. So it didn't seem like it was too big for him. And it says a lot for him and his background and his personality and the way he was coached in high school and the way Coach Mead has handled him, that he could step onto that stage against Texas in Jerry World and perform like he did. So I think it gave him a great boost of confidence, and it gives everyone around him confidence.
Is there anything too encouraging you've seen from Fabian over the last week or two?
Well, you know, Fabian last week against Texas didn't play really much in the second half. He came in at the very end because he'd hurt his elbow. I guess what's encouraging is that he hasn't let it affect him. You know, he's been out here and he's been practicing. He's fine. He's good to go. I was encouraged by the fact that when the game was on the line, even though he was hurting, he jumped back in there. You know, he knew that we had a young guy out there that was struggling a little bit, and they were trying to pick on, and he showed his real, to me, competitiveness and dedication by jumping back out there. And you know, I hold him in, as I've said before, very high regard. I think he's a very good player. I think sometimes we overreact when a guy gets a ball caught on him or a touchdown. If you play cornerback in football, whether it's flag football or pro football, you're going to give up a catch or two, you know. And yet this guy, he's pretty special.
Seen Takros McKinley now in pads for a couple of days. What are his chances to play, you think?
He's going to play. Yeah, we're going to play him. He'll be limited. You know, he doesn't have the background of experience that these other guys have, but there's some things that he can do. And so we'll use him on special teams a little bit. We'll use him in our defensive packages a little bit, try to give him saying things that he's comfortable doing so he can do them fast, because that's one of his great assets is his speed. Plus he's got, you know, more power than I thought that he'd have. You know, you see a guy like that, you think all you hear about is his speed, but his power is also very, very exciting.
Is his hand down, or is he standing up?
You know what? I've seen him do both. You know, I think he's more comfortable probably in a 2-point, but he's worked this week from the 3-point. You know, I think in a game like this, we're going to let him do what he feels most comfortable doing. So if that's a 2-point or a 3-point, it doesn't really matter to me as long as he's executing his assignment and playing fast and playing hard. So.
When did you realize that you had maybe regretted the decision to make Miles the running back against Arizona State last year? Was that
after the first drive?
Yeah.
when we couldn't tackle them and they just went right down the field on us, you know, and it just, you know, I felt like it was a necessity going into the game. Looking back on it, you know, I think it was a huge mistake on my part, and tried to be a little bit more thoughtful in those decisions, since that time. But yeah, shouldn't have done that.
Help to have a guy like.
Now, I'm not saying it would have made a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a good football team, and they were a heck of a football team when we played them last year. We were good. It was just, to me, it just seemed like kind of a pretty stupid tactical error on my part.
Especially good to have a guy like that who can guard a guy like DJ Foster, who's pretty much a wide receiver coming out of the backfield.
Yeah, DJ Foster's a special player. We saw when he was at Saguaro High School. I mean, just unique. Really good runner, but great receiver as well. It's not like, I see people say, well, you can just mirror this guy or mirror that guy. You can't do that. I mean, nobody does that. I've never heard of you doing it, but it certainly helps when you have more athletes on your defense, especially when you're facing a guy like Foster, or there are other guys as well.